When my wife came home from deployment, my son and I went to surprise her. But the second we stepped on base, he froze, grabbed my arm and whispered, "Don't look back, Dad. Something's wrong with Mom." That's when I noticed everything was off. I was standing in the middle of Raleigh-Durham International Airport when my son, Eli, grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks. "Dad, stop. Don't go any closer." His voice cracked like a kid half his age. Not the 16-year-old who'd spent 8 months trying to be the man of the house while my wife, Major Rowan Ellis, was deployed overseas. At first, I thought he was overwhelmed. Homecomings were emotional. Crowds cheering. Soldiers stepping off the flight. Flags everywhere. He missed her more than he'd ever admit out loud. But then I looked at his face. He wasn't overwhelmed. He was terrified. "What's wrong?" I whispered. "Dad, she's not alone." Something in his tone made my stomach drop. I followed Eli's shaking finger across the terminal toward the restricted military exit where soldiers were stepping out into their families' waiting arms. Rowan appeared, haircut sharp, uniform crisp, moving like she always did, straight spine, disciplined steps, eyes scanning the crowd with the cold precision of a woman who never lost situational control. But today, she wasn't scanning for us. She was looking up, toward someone taller standing behind the security barrier. Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox, her commanding officer, her mentor, a married man with a spotless reputation and a charm that always felt too practiced. I saw him before Rowan did, broad-shouldered, immaculate in dress uniform, silver hair perfectly cropped. And when Rowan finally spotted him, her whole body changed. Her posture softened. Her smile wasn't regulation. Her pace quickened. Then she did the one thing that made the world tilt sideways. She reached for him, not like a subordinate greeting a superior officer, like a woman reaching for a man she'd missed more than she should have. He pulled her into a hug that lasted too long, far too intimate for a public hall where rules were written in stone. His hand slid down her back in a way no superior officer should ever touch a subordinate. Eli gasped next to me. I lifted my phone without thinking. Filmmaking instincts kicking in even as my heart cracked open, and hit record. Zoomed in. Every second captured in crisp, merciless detail. 8 months of waiting. 8 months of raising our son alone. 8 months of her saying she loved us, that she couldn't wait to come home. A lie. All of it. My pulse thundered. My breath turned sharp. The bustling airport noise faded under the roar of betrayal ripping through me. Rowan pulled back from Maddox, laughing softly. Laughing. Then she whispered something to him, her mouth close to his ear in a way I had only ever seen in private, in moments meant for us. Not for some smug officer whose wedding ring glinted under the fluorescent lights. Pierce Maddox murmured something back, brushing her hand with his thumb before stepping away. And that's when she saw us. Her smile vanished. Her body froze. Her eyes widened. Not with joy, not with love, but with a flicker of something darker. Recognition. Fear. Guilt. Eli's hand slipped into mine, fingers trembling. "Dad," he whispered. "Please don't make a scene. Please." But I wasn't hearing him anymore. Because in that instant, Rowan staring at us like she'd been caught in a crime scene. I realized the truth. Whatever had been happening between her and Maddox wasn't new, wasn't accidental, wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate, ongoing, and worst of all, we weren't the ones she came home for. I lowered my phone, my entire body shaking. Not with pain, but with something colder, sharper. Resolve. This wasn't going to be a confrontation. This was going to be an investigation. And when I was done, neither Rowan Ellis nor Pierce Maddox would ever forget the day they underestimated the wrong man. People always tell you that military marriages are built different, that the distance makes you stronger, that the worry bonds you, that the reunions are worth the pain. I used to believe that. I used to repeat that cliché like it was a prayer. But the truth is simpler and uglier. Distance doesn't make you stronger. It makes cracks. And people who want to lie will fill those cracks with whatever or whoever they want. Before everything fell apart, Rowan and I had a life that looked stable from the outside. We lived in a quiet neighborhood in Cary, North Carolina. We grilled on Sundays. We went to Eli's soccer games. We had movie nights and cheap traditions and inside jokes that only families who survive long deployments understand. Rowan wasn't always hard. When I met her 12 years ago, she was a staff sergeant just back from a brutal rotation. I was filming a documentary about PTSD in returning veterans, interviewing soldiers and spouses. She walked into the frame by accident. Hair messy, uniform wrinkled, eyes exhausted, and then she made the mistake of challenging me on camera. "That's a dramatic angle," she'd said, pointing at my lens. "Trying to make us look more broken than we already are?" I'd laughed. She didn't. 5 minutes later, she was telling me everything. Her fears, her anger, her insomnia. She didn't trust many people, but somehow she trusted me. Back then, she was wildfire. Untamed, honest, loyal to the bone. No one could outwork her. No one could intimidate her. No one could lie to her. At least that's what I thought. Over the years, she climbed the ranks fast. Faster than anyone expected. Training deployments, leadership courses, new assignments, new responsibilities. Distance became part of the marriage, as normal as our kitchen table or our bills. And through all of it, she always came home the same woman. Until this deployment. This one changed her. And the thing is, Eli noticed it first. The calls. Shorter, colder, less eye contact, less asking about home. More, "I'm busy, I'll call tomorrow," that turned into, "I'm sorry, I fell asleep," which turned into days of silence. Rowan never let silence happen. The worst part? I defended her every time. She's under pressure. She's dealing with soldiers. She's tired. She loves us. I said all those things like I was trying to convince myself. Then Eli told me something I didn't want to hear. 3 months into deployment, Rowan video called when I was at the hardware store. Eli answered. He said she looked startled, almost scared. And he heard a man's voice in the background, low and close. When he asked who it was, Rowan said, "Just a colleague." But Eli said she was lying. And I brushed it off. Because I trusted her more than I trusted myself. That lie, the one I refused to see, was the first domino. More followed. The late-night texts she never explained. The training extensions that lasted days too long. The way she stopped saying, "I love you" first. The way she looked away more than she looked at us on screen. By month 6, Eli had changed too. Grades dropped. Sleepless nights. He quit soccer. He withdrew. He broke. And I didn't put it together. Because husbands of soldiers aren't supposed to worry about infidelity. It's the one stereotype we cling to, the idea that our spouses are loyal because they understand sacrifice. It wasn't until the day she came home, reaching for another man's arms instead of ours, that I realized something. Rowan had been gone long before she stepped off that plane. The woman who hugged Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox wasn't the woman I married. And the worst part? Somewhere along the way, she chose him. And she chose him over us. The night after the airport. After Rowan hugged her commanding officer like he was the one she'd been dreaming about for 8 months. Sleep wasn't even an option. Not for me. Not for Eli. Not for the house that suddenly felt like it didn't recognize its own family anymore. Rowan was still in processing on base overnight, so we didn't have to see her yet. But that only made the silence worse. We just sat in the living room, not talking, both pretending the walls weren't closing in around us. At 2:14 a.m., Rowan texted, "Touchdown tomorrow morning. Can't wait to be home with you and Eli. Love you both." The heart at the end made my stomach roll. I took a screenshot and dragged it into a new folder on my desktop. Evidence. I'm not proud of what happened next, but I don't regret it either. When you've spent 20 years filming liars, abusers, corrupt politicians, and powerful men who talk like they own the world, something switches in you. You stop reacting emotionally and start thinking tactically. Rowan had crossed a line. Pierce Maddox had crossed several. I was going to find out how deep it went. So I started where I always start, documentation. I pulled the footage off my phone and uploaded it to 3 different encrypted drives. I slowed it down frame by frame, zooming in on everything. Her hand on his chest, his thumb brushing her shoulder, the stupid smile on her face, the heartbreak in Eli's. Then I called Nash Barrett, my closest friend and sometimes cameraman. A guy who lived on caffeine, conspiracy theories, and an unhealthy willingness to help me dig into anything. He answered half asleep. If this isn't about someone committing fraud or murder, it's Rowan, I said. Silence. What happened? She's having an affair. With who? Her CO? Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox. Another long silence. What do you need? Everything, I said. Every scrap, every rumor, every whisper about him. And I need surveillance. Starting tomorrow. Nash didn't hesitate. Send me her flight info, the base schedule, and Maddox's details. I'll handle the rest. I ended the call and looked toward the hallway where Eli was pretending not to listen. He came out slowly, eyes red but jaw firm. What are you doing? He whispered. Finding the truth. Dad? Isn't the truth already obvious? Obvious isn't enough, I said. Obvious gets brushed off. Obvious gets twisted. Obvious gets denied. I tapped the drives. This is undeniable. He nodded once, and something in his face changed, like childhood cracked a little. The next morning, when Rowan came through our front door acting like she hadn't just shattered our family in an airport terminal, Eli played his part perfectly. He hugged her. He smiled. He answered her questions calmly. He even ate breakfast with her like nothing was wrong. He was better at this than I expected. Better than me. When she went upstairs to unpack, he whispered, I want to help. You already are, I told him. But that wasn't the truth. Not the real truth. Because part of me needed something else. Something darker. Something I hadn't told him yet. This wasn't just about evidence. Or clarity. Or accountability. This was about exposing Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox. The man who had a spotless record, a perfect family image, and enough influence to bury entire scandals if he wanted. Except this time, he picked the wrong soldier's spouse to lie to. I wasn't just documenting a marriage falling apart. I was building a case that would burn both of them to the ground. I thought I understood betrayal. I thought what I saw at the airport was the worst of it. But betrayal has layers. And Rowan, Major Rowan Ellis, was only getting started. 3 days after she came home, she walked into our living room wearing civilian clothes and a tight smile, like she had rehearsed it in the mirror. Can we talk? She asked. Eli froze on the couch. I nodded slowly, motioning for him to stay. She sat across from us, crossing her legs like she was settling in for a job interview. I've been offered a temporary reassignment, she said. It's a leadership development opportunity. A big one. Her words were too smooth, too polished, too safe. I already knew. Nash had emailed me an hour earlier. Subject: You're not gonna like this. Maddox pulled strings. She's transferring under him. Paperwork already filed. But I let Rowan talk. She looked right at Eli. It would mean being away for a few weeks, maybe 2 months at most. But it's good for my career. And, no, Eli interrupted, voice sharp. You just got home. Rowan blinked at him, almost annoyed. It's not ideal timing, I know. But what? Eli shot back. You leave for 8 months. You come home for 5 minutes? And you're already planning to leave again? Eli, no. Stop. Just stop. His voice cracked. Mine almost did. But Rowan didn't flinch. She wasn't emotional. She wasn't struggling. She wasn't torn. She was lying. And she was good at it. Look, she said finally, forced calm dripping off her words. This assignment would stabilize things for us long-term. The word burned. Then she said something that made every hair on my arms rise. And if you really cared about my career, you'd support this. Something inside me snapped. But before I could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and forgot to hide her expression. She smiled. Not the polite kind. The kind people make when they see a message from someone they're falling for. Eli saw it too. Is that him? He whispered. Rowan froze. A full second. Then two. Too long. Who? She said, voice too high. Too defensive. That was the moment I realized something. Rowan wasn't planning to tell us anything. Not about the reassignment. Not about Maddox. Not about whatever they were doing behind closed doors. Not about the fact that she wasn't planning on repairing anything. She was planning on leaving. Not forever, just long enough for Maddox to reposition her career, shift her unit, realign her future. A future that didn't include us. But the universe wasn't done kicking me. Because that night, after Rowan fell asleep, Nash called. He never calls late unless it's urgent. "Dude," he said, voice low, "you need to sit down." "I'm already sitting." "No, seriously. Sit down." I did. "Okay," he said. "I found something else. Something you're not gonna want to believe." My stomach nodded. "What?" He hesitated. "Maddox didn't just target your wife." "What does that mean?" "It means," he said slowly, "Rowan wasn't his first, or his second." Silence filled the room. Heavy. Suffocating. "He has a pattern," Nash continued. "2 previous subordinates. Same behavior. Same grooming. Same leadership development bullshit. Both women got reassigned. Both careers tanked. One left the military entirely." I swallowed hard. "And Rowan," I whispered. "She's number 3. The room spun. My hands went cold. My pulse hammered. Eli looked at me with wide eyes, waiting for me to give him a version of the truth that wouldn't break him. But this was the twist I couldn't soften. Rowan hadn't fallen into an affair. She had been selected. And Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox, the man she hugged at the airport, was a predator who groomed his subordinates with precision. Rowan wasn't just cheating. She was caught in a pattern she didn't even recognize. A pattern that destroyed every woman before her. And now it was going to destroy us too. Unless I destroyed him first. The morning after Nash dropped the bomb, that Rowan was just the next in Maddox's pattern. I woke up with a kind of cold clarity I hadn't felt since my early filmmaking days. The kind of clarity that only shows up when pain has burned everything else to ash. Rowan left early for administrative processing, which was code for she was going to see him. She kissed Eli's forehead, touched my shoulder, and told us not to wait up. That was her last mistake of the day. Because the second the door shut, Eli looked at me and whispered, "What now?" I didn't sugarcoat it. "Now? Now we fight back." He nodded. No hesitation. No fear. Just anger and something colder. Resolve. I opened my laptop and pulled up the project folder I'd been building in silence. Dozens of files. Photos. Screenshots. Airport footage. Audio clips. Metadata. Text logs Nash had pulled from public Wi-Fi captures. Evidence. But evidence alone wasn't enough. We needed a strategy. We needed precision. We needed someone who knew how the army actually handled monsters like Maddox. And I knew exactly who to call. Captain Lena Rourke, military prosecutor, former MP investigator, and one of the few people in uniform who didn't scare me, because she was more stubborn than fear itself. She answered on the second ring. "Evan? Haven't heard from you in, 3 years?" "Yeah." My throat tightened. "I need your help. And I need you to keep this off the books for now." She exhaled slowly. "That's serious?" "Worse." I laid it out. Not everything, just enough to get her attention. When I mentioned Maddox's name, she stopped me mid-sentence. "Don't say another word on an unsecured line. Meet me at the off-base cafe in 30 minutes. That told me everything I needed to know. Lena slid into the seat across from me. No uniform, no hesitation, just sharp eyes and sharper instincts. "Okay," she said. "Tell me everything." So I did. The airport, the hand-holding, the reassignment, the pattern, the past victims, the grooming, the evidence. Her jaw tightened more with every sentence. When I finished, she sat still for several seconds. Then, "Evan, this isn't an affair. This is abuse of authority. This is coercion. This is career predation." "I know," I said, "but I need you to help me prove it." "You need more than proof. You need corroboration. Witnesses. Chain of custody. Dates. Logs. Travel records. And you need to be ready because Maddox is protected. Very protected. I leaned forward. Protected doesn't mean untouchable. A slow smile crossed her face. Good. Because if you're serious, I want in. I blinked. Why? Her smile faded. Because Pierce Maddox should have been court-martialed 6 years ago. And he slipped through our fingers twice. A chill crawled through me. So you already know his pattern. More than you do, she said. And if he's targeting your wife now, then you're sitting on the kind of case that can bury him. My pulse thudded. But we need to get Rowan on record, she continued, voluntarily or through interview. And we need the other women. Can you find them? I already did. She tapped her phone screen. Both of them. They won't talk yet, but they will if they know someone else is living the same nightmare. What happens then? We build a case. A real one. Not rumor, not speculation. A full dossier with enough weight that the army can't bury it. And Rowan? I asked quietly. Lena's face softened for the first time. She's a victim, Evan. Even if she doesn't see it yet. I swallowed hard. Because that truth hurt more than anything. Then tell me what I have to do. Lena leaned in. Step by step, she laid it out. Collect timelines. Secure electronic evidence. Record all interactions. Track Maddox's movements. Document Rowan's behavior. Coercion. Pressure. Meetings. Cross-reference with past victims. Build a narrative too solid to break. And then push the army into action. And what about Rowan's career? I asked. If she cooperates, she'll face administrative punishment, maybe suspension, maybe reassignment. But she won't be destroyed. And if she doesn't? Lena didn't hesitate. She goes down with him. When I drove home, Eli was waiting at the window, watching my car pull in. I sat beside him on the couch and told him everything: truth, strategy, team, timeline. He listened quietly. Then he said, "Dad, I want to help. Whatever way you'll let me." And for the first time since the airport, I felt something flicker inside me. Not hope, purpose. Because this wasn't just revenge anymore. This was a mission. A mission to dismantle a predator, piece by piece. And Rowan, whether she knew it or not, was the key to bringing him down. I thought I had the whole battlefield mapped out. Rowan was entangled. Maddox was the predator. I was building the case. Lena was the hammer. Everything seemed clear. Until the night the second twist hit and flipped the entire investigation upside down. Started on a Thursday close to midnight. Eli was asleep. I was in my office, headphones on, reviewing footage from the day before. Rowan leaving base, Rowan's car at a gas station, Rowan stopping for groceries and taking twice as long as she should have. Routine surveillance. Then my phone buzzed. A number I didn't recognize. Unknown caller, 11:48 p.m. I almost ignored it. But something in me said answer. Hello. A woman's voice. Nervous. Rushed. Whispering like she was afraid someone would hear her through the walls. Is this Evan Ellis? Yes. Who's this? A beat. A shaky breath. My name is Avery Grant, she said. You don't know me, but I used to serve under Lieutenant Colonel Maddox. I straightened in my chair. She continued, voice trembling. I'm one of the women your investigator contacted. From Fort Carson. Lena had mentioned the past victims, but none had agreed to talk. Until now. Are you safe? I asked. No, she whispered. And that's why I'm calling. Her voice cracked. He found out. That froze my blood. Who found out? Maddox, she said. He knows someone contacted me. He doesn't know it was you. But he knows someone reopened the past. I stood up from my chair. How? There was a long silence on the line before she answered. Your wife, she whispered. The floor felt like it dropped out beneath me. What? She called him, Avery said. Tonight. In a panic. She told him someone was digging around. She didn't mention names, but she told him she felt pressured. She said she was afraid something bad was coming. I sank onto the edge of my desk. A cold, unfamiliar feeling spread through me. Shock, confusion, betrayal layered on top of betrayal. Rowan warned him. Rowan warned the man who targeted her. My voice came out rough. How do you know this? Avery hesitated, then said, I still have a friend on base, an admin specialist. She saw Rowan in Maddox's office tonight. Door closed. Lights off. They argued. She said Rowan was crying. Maddox told her to stay loyal and follow the plan. Follow the plan? Avery exhaled shakily. That's why I'm calling. I think Maddox is planning something, and I think he's pulling her into it. Something hot and cold and ugly twisted inside me. What is he planning? Avery's voice dropped to a whisper. To shift blame. My heart pounded. What do you mean shift blame? I mean he's trying to frame your wife, she said. He's done it before. When one of the women tried to report him, he made it look like she pursued him. He manipulated her texts, her schedules, her emails. She got discharged. He got promoted. My mouth went dry. If he knows an investigation is coming, Avery continued, he won't go down alone. He'll throw Rowan under the bus so hard she won't survive the impact. I closed my eyes. This wasn't just about exposing Maddox anymore. This was a countdown. Avery inhaled sharply, like she was trying to gather courage. Then, there's something else you need to know. Something I didn't tell Captain Rourke. My pulse kicked. What? When I served with him, he used the same phrases on me. The same promises. The career opportunities. The reassignment talk. But there's something worse. The line went quiet for a moment. Then she delivered the blow. He keeps files on the women he targets. Digital records. Pictures. Messages. Notes. Leverage. Insurance against them talking. My skin crawled. And Rowan? I whispered. He has a file on her too, Avery said. And it's big. I felt something inside me crack wide open. He's using her, Avery said softly. He's pulling her into something she doesn't understand. She thinks she's special. She thinks he cares. You and I both know he doesn't. My hands shook. Where are the files? I asked. I don't know. But I know who does. The admin specialist who overheard them tonight. She's willing to talk. But you need to move fast. Maddox is already covering tracks. I swallowed hard. My pulse thundered. This was the twist I didn't see coming. Rowan wasn't just betraying us. She was being played, manipulated, weaponized. And if I didn't act fast, she wouldn't just lose her career. She'd lose everything. Because Maddox wasn't planning to go down. He was planning to take Rowan with him. And I was running out of time to stop him. You imagine villains as loud, explosive, chaotic. But the real ones, the dangerous ones, aren't loud at all. They're quiet, calculated, deliberate. They build their destruction like architects. And Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox? He was a damn master architect. I didn't understand that fully until Lena arranged a covert meeting with the admin specialist Avery mentioned. A soft-spoken woman named Kara Lennox, who looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. She sat across from us at a booth in a deserted diner off Bragg Boulevard. Hands wrapped around a cup of cold coffee. She kept looking at the door like Maddox might walk in at any second. Thank you for coming, Lena said gently. Kara swallowed hard. I shouldn't be here. If he finds out. He won't, Lena assured her. You're safe. She shook her head. No one is safe around him. That sentence alone told me everything. But then she leaned in and said something that made my blood turn to ice. He doesn't pick women because he's in love with them, or because he wants an affair. He picks them because he needs them. My jaw tensed. Needs them for what? Kara looked at me with a mixture of pity and dread. For leverage, she whispered. For control. For protection. For setting up fall guys. He builds insurance policies. What does that mean? I asked. She hesitated, then opened the thick manila folder she'd brought. Inside were notes, not hers, but printed emails, screenshots, psychological assessments. I recognized the formatting. They were military profile sheets. But the handwriting covering the margins? That was Maddox's. He keeps files, Kara said. You already know that part. Yeah, I said, leaning forward. But why? Kara tapped the folder with a shaking finger. Because he's not just shielding himself from affairs. He's shielding himself from something bigger. My breath stalled. Lena stiffened. What bigger? Lena asked. Kara's voice dropped to a whisper. Misconduct. Cover-ups. Financial fraud. Intelligence mishandling. Decisions that cost soldiers their careers, and sometimes their lives. A cold wave washed over me. Maddox documents everyone around him, she continued. Their weaknesses, their secrets, their vulnerabilities. He recruits women under his command not to love them, not even for the sex, though he'll take that too. It's about control. She pushed a page toward me. It was Rowan's personnel evaluation, clean, professional. Except for the notes Maddox had scrawled beside her photo. High loyalty potential. Emotionally isolable. Career motivated. Leverage. Family strain. Emotional vulnerability. Use with caution, strong moral backbone. May require grooming. I felt sick. Kara kept going. When a scandal pops up, financial mistakes, classified leaks, troop misconduct, he needs someone beneath him to take the fall. Someone he's already compromised. Someone he can use as a shield. Lena's eyes turned sharp. He's grooming scapegoats. Kara nodded. And your wife? She whispered, turning to me. She was next. The world tilted. He pressured her into that reassignment, Kara continued. Not for training, but because he was planning to reroute a reprimand, possibly a financial irregularity, onto her. Make it look like she signed something. Make it land on her desk. Make her absorb the blow. My hands curled into fists. He doesn't love her, Kara said softly. He doesn't love anyone. He picks women who want to prove themselves, who crave approval, who are isolated during deployment. He studies them like case files, finds the cracks, and slips himself into them. My chest felt like it was collapsing. She wasn't describing a man having an affair. She was describing a man running a human chessboard. He used my wife, I said, barely breathing, to cover for him, to take responsibility for something he did. Kara nodded again. And she doesn't know, she said. None of them know. They think he believes in them. They think he sees their potential. But he's just writing their names into the fallout plans of his own mistakes. I stared at Rowan's file, the handwriting, the psychological breakdown of my wife's vulnerabilities, the predatory precision of it all. Then Kara whispered the part that would haunt me forever. He didn't break your marriage because he wanted her. He broke your marriage because he needed her expendable. And that was it. That was the moment everything changed inside me. This wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't even about Rowan anymore. This was a man destroying lives to protect himself. And I wasn't going to let him destroy hers. Not without taking him down first. The day we brought down Lieutenant Colonel Pierce Maddox wasn't cinematic. No explosions. No chase. No dramatic music. It was quieter than that. Colder than that. And somehow more brutal. It started at 6:12 a.m. on a Monday. Lena texted me, "It's time. Bring Rowan in." Rowan was still asleep downstairs on the couch. She'd been restless for days, snapping between panic, denial, and confused loyalty. She kept saying she owed Maddox honesty, without realizing he'd never once given her honesty in return. I woke her gently. "We have to go," I said. "Now." She rubbed her face. "Is this about the investigation?" "Yes. Evan, I told you, Maddox didn't pressure me. We weren't." I held up a hand. "We're done arguing. Today is about truth. You come with me, or the army sends MPs to get you." That finally broke through her fog. She dressed silently, eyes glassy with fear. Eli stood in the doorway watching her. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. She avoided his gaze. The drive to Fort Liberty was suffocating. Rowan kept wringing her hands. Is this going to ruin me?" "Maybe," I said honestly. "But it won't destroy you, and it won't define you." She flinched. When we arrived at the JAG building, Lena was waiting. Professional, controlled, focused. Rowan whispered, Am I being arrested? No, Lena said. You're being protected. Before Rowan could ask what that meant, Lena opened a door to a conference room. Inside sat two people, Kara Lennox, Avery Grant. Rowan froze in the doorway. Avery stood first. Hi, Rowan. Rowan's eyes flooded with confusion, then horror, then realization. She recognized Avery from Maddox's deployment history. Then she looked at Kara, and suddenly she understood. You too. Kara nodded, her voice gentle. We were you. Rowan staggered backward into a chair like someone had punched her. She looked between the two women, then to Lena, then finally to me. Why didn't anyone warn me? She whispered. We're warning you now, Lena said, and then Avery slid the file across the table. Her file. The one Maddox kept. The one with her vulnerabilities scribbled like strategies. The one that mapped exactly how he would break her down and use her as a human shield. Rowan's hands shook as she opened it. Her breath stuttered. Tears hit the pages. This can't be real, she whispered. But it was. Every line of it. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. Deep, shaking sobs that came from somewhere hollowed out and raw. Lena waited. Let her break. Let the truth settle. Then she spoke softly. Rowan, Pierce Maddox is under investigation for financial misconduct, intelligence mismanagement, and multiple acts of coercion. He intends to put the blame on you. He already redirected paperwork your way. He's building a narrative that you acted alone. Rowan looked up, horrified. He's going to destroy you to save himself, Lena said. Unless you help us take him down. Rowan looked at me, eyes begging for something. Guidance? Forgiveness? Anything. What do I do? She whispered. I sat beside her. You tell the truth, I said. All of it. Rowan spent 6 hours giving a sworn statement. 6 hours unraveling every manipulation. 6 hours confronting the man she thought cared about her. By 3 p.m., MPs walked Maddox out of his office in handcuffs. He didn't look at Rowan. He looked at me, like he finally realized the man he underestimated was the one who buried him. The charges were immediate and catastrophic. Abuse of authority, coercion, misuse of command, data manipulation, attempted cover-up, fraternization. Rowan faced discipline too. Administrative action, temporary suspension, mandatory counseling, no command eligibility for 2 years. But she wasn't court-martialed. She wasn't discharged. She wasn't ruined. She was held accountable, and she survived. Maddox didn't. He lost everything. His rank, his pension, his career, his reputation, his power. And as the MPs escorted him across the parking lot, Rowan whispered, Why did he do this to me? I answered quietly, Because he never saw you as a person, only as protection. She nodded slowly, finally understanding the monster she'd trusted. On the drive home, Rowan turned to me. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. Not now, maybe not ever. But thank you for not letting him destroy my life. I didn't answer. She didn't deserve forgiveness yet. Maybe someday, but not today. When we got home, Eli hugged me tight. Is it over? He asked. Yes, I said. It's over. He nodded, relief softening his face. Rowan watched from the doorway, grateful, ashamed, and completely broken open. I didn't invite her inside. Not yet. Some wounds needed space to close. And as I stood there with my son, watching what remained of the woman I once loved, I realized something. Justice didn't feel triumphant. Felt quiet, heavy, necessary. But in that necessity there was peace. And in that peace, there was the faintest beginning of something I didn't expect. Closure. Real closure. The kind that lets you breathe again. The kind that lets you walk forward. The kind that finally lets you let go.